All right, Mickey and Sharon, this mic is all yours, my friends.
Oh my God, thank you so much. Happy Thankful Thursday, everybody. We're all here and we're all happy and we all are thankful for whatever we've got, which is a lot, I'm learning. So let's settle in for a second. I know Zulma goes at like 90 miles an hour, and I am going to, and I love it. I so admire it. I am going to slow us down to a crawl. Wait till you see what I've got planned. Anyway, does somebody want to pray us in with the truly thankful prayer?
I'll be happy
Anybody?
to.
Oh, thank you, Zulma. Thank you. Because I got to listen to it. I got to listen hard to it.
Oh, so we just take this moment to slow life down, to let go of anything before this moment, for it is already all gone. As we recognize and realize that there is only one power, that there is only one presence, only one truth, and that we call by whatever name we call it, be it God, be it life, be it love, be it spirit, be it energy, whatever we call it, I believe it doesn't care, for it is regardless. I am knowing that I am one with this truth because it is ever present, always present. And just as I am one with it, I know this to be the truth for Miki and Sharon and Dove and Lynn and anyone within the sound of my voice and everyone who cannot hear my voice, for it is all one, it is all God. I am knowing that this time that Miki is going to share with us is perfect already. It is perfect. It is complete. It is whole, for it is coming through her being God expressed, as God expressing. I am grateful, 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 showing nothing but appreciation and gratitude for the truth of what life is, for what love is, for what God is. And with that, I place these words into the activity of the law of cause and effect, knowing that it is all cause with a capital C, it is all effect from the capital E. We are cause and we are effect, for we are God in form. And with that, we can anchor if we so choose by saying, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you so much, Zulma. That was beautiful. And I want to hop over to another prayer that I want to talk about today because it's something that we say almost every time we meet. And it's something that we say at the Unity Church course group that I go to. And the last time, the guy that was leading the group said it so fast that I could not verbally keep up with it. Zulma could have, but I could not keep. I'm here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent Him who sent me. And it just went so fast that, and I was like, oh my God, we need to slow down. So that's what we're going to do today. And we're going to look at that prayer and talk with it and listen to it and discover all the things in it. And the first thing I want to do is talk about that first line, I am here. How often do we sit and be present and lock into what is here right now? So I want us all to just take a second and breathe in and be here. Be here with each other, be here for each other, be here for God. I am here for God. I am here for you. I am here for my learning. I'm here to listen to Holy Spirit who's in me and with me. I am here to represent whoever is guiding me and know that it's right and that I'm here to be right and that I'm here to be happy and that I'm here for everybody else and to learn from them. Thank you. So I am here. I'm here for everybody. I am here only. Now, you guys don't know me all that well, but I'm a total nerd and I'm addicted to that FIP app that we put up when we're going to read something on screen that Lynn puts up. There's a little search magnifying glass in that, and I use that constantly. I'm like, how many times do they say the word trust in A Course in Miracles? And I look it up and I'm like, oh, look at that. And where is all the thing? And I go to every reference and I look at them and I, just this is how I spend my time. So the word only in A Course in Miracles is mentioned 1,754 times. It's got to be important. If it's in that book that many times, I need to pay attention. I am here only to be truly helpful. Only. That's my only function. That is what I am here for. If it's saying in this prayer, and this prayer was given to Bill Thetford when he was doing something that he didn't want to do, just like I am doing something, I am terrified of speaking in front of people. Did I want to do this? No. But Dove asked me and Karen asked me, and I said, sure, why not? Which is usually my response when somebody asks me to do something. Sure, why not? I am terrified. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to do. Holy Spirit said, here's what you're going to do. You are going to look up this prayer and you are going to dive deeply into it because you keep saying people say it too fast. So clearly you need to know what this prayer says. So I'm here only to be truly helpful. I'm not here to fix things. I'm not here to tell people what to do. I'm not here to be right. That's for darn sure. I am here only to be truly helpful. And what does that mean, to be helpful? I am a fixer. I'm a fixer big time. I want to help people. I want to fix their problems. I should have been, if I had a math brain, I would have been a computer programmer. I suck at math. If I could have done math, I would have been a computer programmer and I would have been an IT help desk person because I love nothing better than to tell somebody, oh, here, just do this and you'll get to do what you want. I want to be helpful. If somebody needs a ride somewhere, I want to do it. I want to be helpful. I want to fix things. That's not what this is talking about. That is not what the Course is talking about when it says, I am here only to be truly helpful. So I took my first foray, and I'm a late adopter usually with technology, and I resisted AI for years. I'm like, I'm not doing that stuff. I don't like AI. I'm not going to do it. Well, I went to AI, and here's the question that I asked. What did I ask? I said, using quotes from the text of A Course in Miracles, what does the Course say about being helpful? And it said, and this is interesting because Dove says computer programming has nothing to do with math. It's pure logic. Yeah, I'm not that logical either. As we shall see. Anyway, so AI said, and I was surprised, like I thought, oh, how can AI figure out what A Course in Miracles is talking about? But I didn't hate it. It says A Course in Miracles emphasizes that the most helpful thing that we can do for others is to help them see their true divine nature. Okay, I'm liking that. This involves recognizing that everyone is a child of God, perfect and whole. and that any perceived flaws or limitations are illusions created by the ego. I would say that's better than I would have put it. I only came up with A Course in Miracles says to be truly helpful, don't try to fix them. That was my thing. So this is much more eloquent than that. And so then it went on to say, here are some key points from ACIM regarding being helpful. True helpfulness comes from within. ACIM teaches that true help comes from a shift in our own perception, not from external actions. When we see others through the eyes of love and forgiveness, we are truly helping them. Not bad. The power of forgiveness. Forgiveness is central to ACIM's teachings. By forgiving others, we release our own judgment and allow them to experience their own healing. Now, I like that because the healing is not coming from me or anything I said. The healing isn't attached even to, what's going on in the situation. The healing is coming from within, our own healing. So again, Miki, you can't fix them. You can't do it. It's impossible. Then it talks about non-judgment. Judging others creates separation and hinders our ability to be truly helpful. Instead, ACIM encourages us to approach others with compassion and understanding. Yeah, I try. I really try, but sometimes my desire to fix a situation or someone gets in the way of my being truly compassionate. And Dove says, what I see to fix is my own belief with the lie in the middle in differences. Yes. And then the importance of presence. And that's, when we were saying, I am here only to be truly helpful. We're present. So the importance of presence, simply being present with someone, listening without judgment, and offering unconditional love can be a powerful form of help. And some days, this is a meme that I saw on Facebook one day, and I put it up on my page, and I'm going to have to try and go find the picture again, but it said, sometimes my greatest accomplishment throughout a day has been keeping my mouth shut. And that is true, because I'll come up with a good idea if I think what somebody needs to get fixed, and I'll try and blurt it out. Oh, you should do this. Oh my God, I should all over myself, and others. You don't should on yourself, but especially don't should on anybody else. I really try and remind myself of that. But sometimes being present and keeping my mouth shut is the best way that I can help somebody. And I've had people tell me all my life, oh my God, what you said helped me so much. You're so logical, and you're so, helpful. And no, I should keep my mouth shut half the time, because I don't know what Holy Spirit or God or Jesus has in mind for these people, of what's supposed to go on with them. Am I really being truly helpful? Who knows? So back to the AI. In summary, ACIM encourages us to be helpful by shifting our perception, practicing forgiveness, avoiding judgment, and being present with others. By doing so, we contribute to the healing and awakening of ourselves and others. How can we be most helpful to people? by seeing the divinity in them, by seeing them as the Christ, by seeing what is shining through them, no matter what the appearance is. And I walk down the street sometimes. I live in a pretty okay neighborhood, but there's a place where there's a food kitchen 3 blocks away, and there are some sketchy people walking around here every once in a while. And and for the longest time, I had a lot of fear going on about that. And I would try and see the Christ, and I worked at it and I worked at it, and the fear did not go away. And just recently, I've had a transformation in that. And I was doing my little walk around town hall here, my little half mile that I do in the mornings. And this very sketchy guy was walking towards me, and I'm going, okay, here we go. Don't judge. Do not, if you judge, you condemn. And he looked up at me and smiled at me and said, good morning. And my heart just burst open. And I saw the divinity in him. And it was a transformative moment for me. So I'm gonna I'm gonna work. I'm gonna work with Holy Spirit and just change my whole idea about that whole thing. See the divinity in others, offer love to people, offer forgiveness and love to myself. That's being truly helpful. Being helpful to other people doesn't have to do with other people. It has to do with seeing the divinity in myself, seeing the love in myself, forgiving myself, not judging myself for being scared of the sketchy guy. Because that's what I was doing. It was a cycle. I was going around in cycles. I have to see this person as divinity. I have to see the Christ in them, and judging myself for not seeing the Christ in them. Therefore, I could not see the Christ in them. What's self-fulfilling prophecy is that? I if I can just let go enough of trying to be helpful, then I can be a channel for Holy Spirit, for God, for Jesus, and let them be the help. So that's I have a little bit more about being helpful before we move around. But if anybody else has anything they want to say about this, please raise your hand and jump in, because I think it does us a lot of good to look at this prayer in these lines, I think, and to consider them. But in the text in chapter 1, I've got a couple of quotes here from the Course that might help us. But first of all, and I saw this connection with the lesson for today. I am here only to be truly helpful, and I came for the salvation of the world. Here is a thought from which all arrogance has been removed and only truth remains. For arrogance opposes truth. But when there is no arrogance, the truth will come immediately and fill up the space the ego left unoccupied by lies. If I can let go of any arrogance about what I can't do, then I realize I came for the salvation of the world. I am here only to be truly helpful. Go ahead, Dove. Oh, you're muted. Still muted. No, still muted. There
Uh,
you go.
okay. I'm going to try something that we spent an hour. Hi, welcome, Brooklyn.
Hi, Brooklyn.
We already spent an hour before earlier when Sharon was here, sharing on what happened in the past, talking about you really can't help anybody, fix anybody. You can only meet them where they are. Okay. Now I'm going to do this with Zoma and see how Zoma feels about it. So I was listening very closely to Zoma, and she had said earlier that I don't know where she got it from. It could have been from Joel. I think it was from Joel, who said that the consciousness that we are is God consciousness. I think that's something like what you said. And then she said, consciousness is God. Now, the Course in Miracles is kind of clear that consciousness was the first break from the oneness of God, and it was the dawn. Ken Wapnick did a workshop on consciousness as the dawn of separation, because you have to be conscious of something else. Awareness, which Jesus says is what heaven is. Heaven is an awareness of perfect oneness. So awareness is literally rising above the battleground. That's how you get out of the laws of chaos. Chapter 23, section 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 is rising above the battleground. The battleground is over here. It's not out there. It's over here. To rise above the battleground is literally to be aware of our perfect oneness. And heaven is not a place out there where we go and the body dies. Heaven is here now, always. It's a oneness. It's an awareness of oneness. And awareness is simply non-judgmental. Consciousness allows you to judge. Well, I'm conscious of someone in this room who's not really a course student. Let's see, is that oneness or is that two-ness? Yeah, it's two-ness, right? So I say that giving Zuma an opportunity to say, now, I find that either helpful or I think you're attacking me. So Zuma, do you want to share anything at all?
I don't feel attacked. I didn't write the book. They were Joel's words, not mine. And I was just giving it to you the way he gave it to you. As you were speaking, I went on the internet and I asked what was the difference between awareness and consciousness. And it says awareness and consciousness share somewhat similar definitions. The Merriam-Webster dictionary defines awareness as having knowledge and understanding that something is happening or exists, that it is, basically that it is. And it defines consciousness as being aware of things around you or something within yourself, which is basically what you're saying, Dove, because consciousness has to do with the stuff out there, whereas awareness has to do with what is and is permanent. So yeah, I hear that. I accept that. I passed on the quote from, I was just passing on a quote from Joel. So thank you for that. Because it's a learning. It's all for my learning. That's the way I see it. I don't see it as attack. It's all for my learning. Because had you not said that, I wouldn't have had a reason to do this. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. It's all for our learning. See, I see, Brooklyn's in the room, and I always think of Brooklyn going like, I love us. I just love us. And I see what Lynn has brought here is a family. She once said something that I think is true, even though you can't prove it. We all knew each other from before, and we all agreed to come together here now where we can learn with and for each other. That's the way I see things at ACIM gather. The word gather came from the words, we gather together to ask the Lord's blessing. He hastens and all right. So the gathering is the gathering together of who we always have been, and we probably have always been together for eons. And this is just our, oh, I never even saw you before, Miki. This is your first time. No, we're all together as one. Now, I might be crazy, but that's my insanity.
That means we're all crazy, Dove. Thank you. Lynn has her hand up.
Yeah.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I'll put on my camera. I don't look real good, but I don't care. Anyways, oh no, I don't want to do that. I clicked the wrong button. Anyway, when Joel uses the word consciousness, that's a much different than what A Course in Miracles is meaning by consciousness. When Joel uses the word consciousness, he's talking about our awareness of God, our connection to God. So when Joel is talking about our consciousness, he's talking about our connection with God. And that's a different thing than what Ken or the Course is talking about with consciousness. Because Joel was in consciousness. He was a conscious being. And so he did have that connection to God that was inseparable. And so he didn't see the world in what we call consciousness. He saw the world as an extension of the Christ mind. And that was to him, Christ consciousness, all the same thing. So just to point that out, words have different meanings in different belief systems. So anyway, that's all I had to say.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Lynn. And that brings to mind why so many people say, stay the course, stop mixing modalities. I have been very pure in I stay the course. I don't go into other modalities, which is probably why you don't hear me talking when there's another thing going on. They all lead to the same place, but the course saves time. That's the only reason I took the course, is this course can save you 1,000 years by the way you count time. I said, wait a minute. Why am I doing anything else? That was 40 years ago. Why am I doing anything else? I was a Buddhist. I took the Bodhisattva oath. I was a rebirther. I did all kinds of things. I said, why am I doing all kinds of things? I found something that's going to save me 1,000 years.
Thanks, Deb. I kind of agree a little bit. I took the Bodhisattva vows. I cringe every time I kill an ant now because I vowed never to take another life. But the mixing modalities, I like it every once in a while. I like to hear something from a different modality. Sometimes it can get a little confusing. So then I go back to the course and I spend a little time with it just to, okay, this is my home. And I agree, the course is my home. And I like to dabble in other stuff every once in a while. I totally appreciate what Zolma does, bringing in all the other teachings. If we have a little bit of a difference in content and especially in the word consciousness, because that is something where different things come in, it's okay. My view consciousness, I happen to agree with Dove that consciousness implies an other, because you cannot be conscious of something unless you think it is apart from you. But so I let that slide. There's okay, we define consciousness a little bit differently. I'm not going to get stuck there and call something else wrong because I'd rather be happy than right. Go ahead, Brooklyn.
Namaste, mighty companions.
Namaste, darling.
I love it here. I do love us. I find that, well, you know, well, the course for me is, yeah, it's all God. Exactly, Zuma. The course for me is, you know, it is, but I love to find other things that are course, to hear the love, that, you know, people resonate with different modalities. And you could either find the connection or find the differences. And I don't believe in the itty bitty shitty stuff. I really don't. Like, oh, that word is not right. No, no, no. Or that word, that's totally ego, trying to distract us from what we really are, and that's love. But when you could find love in different modalities, everybody's saying the same thing. Everybody wants to be loved. And I heard something by Bashar yesterday. Totally, totally blew me away. Totally blew me away. Oh my God. If that's not course, I don't know what is. The story is very different than course. He's an alien and blah, 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 blah. I don't care about the story. It's like Lynn wrote, it's all the same. But this one, Bashar has been putting more and more podcasts on lately. And his work is profound. And I recommend just listening to him with an open heart, and forget about aliens, whatever, but it's a part. People have different dreams. So if we find the dream that we resonate with, so we can go home. That's what I say. And that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
So do you have a cliff notes of what he said that you thought was so profound?
Unfortunately, I don't remember what people say. I just remember the feelings I get from it.
Got it.
But go on YouTube. No, he write, like it's the core, like who we really are. That's what he talks about, who we really are. We're not aliens or anything like that, but we're love. And he totally amazes me. He totally blows me away. He's so coarse without being coarse.
Mhm.
Of course.
Of course he is, because it's all this, like Lynn said, it's all the same.
Love has many different words.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I have another quote here from the course on being helpful. It doesn't really talk about being helpful, but I thought it was very appropriate. It's from chapter 2, section 7, cause and effect. And it's paragraph 7, and it says the first corrective step in undoing the error. And as soon as we look at somebody and we think that they need help, we think that there's an error in them, that something is wrong. Otherwise, why would we be looking at helping them? The first corrective step in undoing the error is to know first that the conflict is an expression of fear. So all that stuff that we were talking about this morning, anything that had to do with conflict was an expression of fear. And the whole reason why it came up was that we were being fearful about politics. That's all anything that was going on had to do with an expression of fear. And it says, say to yourself that you must somehow have chosen not to love. And there's that beautiful prayer I forget which chapter it's in. It's towards the end of the text. I must have decided wrongly because I'm not at peace. And maybe Dove can tell us where that is. But say to yourself, you must somehow have chosen not to love, or the fear could not have arisen. So if there's any conflict between people, it's because we've chosen not to love, and fear could not have arisen unless we chose not to listen to love, I think. Then the whole process of correction becomes nothing more than a series of pragmatic steps in the larger process of accepting the atonement as the remedy. These steps may be, and I love this part, I've got stars all around in my book here. These steps may be summarized in this way. Know first that this is fear. So we have to admit, if we think there's a problem, it's fear. And then the next line is fear arises from lack of love. We've cut ourselves off from Holy Spirit for a minute. We're not listening to our right minds. And who are we listening to? We're listening to the ego. Fear cannot arise unless we're listening to the ego. The only remedy for lack of love is perfect love. And perfect love is the atonement. I mean, so that's on page 30 in the FIP. If you ever get scared, go to page 30. It's right there, 3/4 of the way down the page. Look at this. Know it's fear. Know that fear arises from the lack of love. Know that the remedy for the lack of love is perfect love. That's the atonement. That is the atonement. And that's all that we have to think about. That's the only thing we have to love, to think is love. And where is love? And did I let go of love's hand?
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Do we know where I must have decided wrongly is? Does anybody remember?
I must have decided wrongly.
Yeah.
I think you're talking about way up. I think it's 350 is the Lord's Prayer. The other, I think, I'll find it for you. All right.
Oh, great. Thanks. But that's, so page 30 we can remember, and if Dove can find the page for I must have decided wrongly, we can remember that easily. So there's another quote I wanted to talk about it's in chapter 1, section 7. And it's on page 15. Let me go there. Child of God, you were created to create the good, the beautiful, and the holy. Do not forget this. The love of God for a little while must still be expressed through one body to another because vision is still so dim. I almost said dumb. You can use your body best to help you enlarge your perception so you can achieve real vision of the world. So you can achieve real vision of which the physical eye is incapable. Learning to do this is the body's only true usefulness. So if we're trying to help somebody, even if we're trying to use the body to defend another person from being attacked, do not forget this. You were created to create the good, the beautiful, and the holy. That's all we're here for. Do not forget this. The love of God for a little while must still be expressed through one body to another because vision is still so dim. And oh, good, Dove found it. I must have decided wrongly because I am not at peace. I made the decision myself, but I can also decide otherwise. I want to decide otherwise because I want to be at peace. I do not feel guilty because the Holy Spirit will undo all the consequences of my wrong decision if I will let Him. I choose to let Him by allowing Him to decide for God for me. And then Dove put up another quote, which is really good. Whenever you are not wholly joyous, it is because you have reacted with a lack of love to one of God's creations. Perceiving this as, quote, sin, you become defensive because you expect attack. The decision to react in this way is yours and can therefore be undone. It cannot be undone by repentance in the usual sense because this implies guilt. If you allow yourself to feel guilty, you will reinforce the error rather than allow it to be undone for you. So this is all talking about how we can be helpful and how we can't. You know, if I think somebody did something wrong, if I feel attacked, if I feel like I need to defend, I must have decided wrongly. If I am not at peace, I must have decided wrongly. And these are the only two things that I think we could ever say to someone who we think needs help, who we think that we can be helpful to. You know, if somebody's hurt, if somebody's upset, if somebody is angry, if somebody is fearful, we can't correct them. Anyway, I've got one last quote on this first line. We're an hour later and we're still on the first line of the prayer. It is in chapter 8, section 7, the body as a means of communication. The removal of blocks, then, is the only way to guarantee help and healing. Help and healing are the normal expressions of a mind that is working through the body, but not in it. So we have to get out of what I read in this book that Dove recommended to me, the soul, My Soul's Plan. What's it called? That Robert Schwartz book?
It's the Robert Schwartz thing.
Yeah, your soul's plan.
The idea is there are no things that happen in our body's lifespan that we didn't plan ahead and ask for, exactly as Jesus said. Everything that seems to happen to me, I have asked for, and I have received exactly as I have asked. You find that in text, chapter 21, section 2, called Responsibility for Sight. And I say, if you don't take a look at chapter 21, where he says projection makes perception, the world you see is an outside picture of an inner condition, and then go on to chapter 21, section 2, and then say everything that seems to happen to me, seems that I have asked for and I have received exactly as I have asked. And then it says, deceive yourself no longer. Big word, deceive yourself no longer, that you're helpless in face of what is done to you. Acknowledge that you have been mistaken and all effects of your mistakes will disappear. That's what I teach, by the way. I teach that. Be responsible, be the cause. This whole course is about taking you from being a victim or effect of somebody else outside of you to being cause or the dreamer of your own dream. You can't do that until you forgive that you are the dreamer of the dream, thinking that somebody else is including you in their dream. If you're included in somebody else's dream, you cannot wake up. You cannot wake up when you're part of someone else's dream. That's their dream. It's not yours. You can't do anything about it. You're still a victim. No, I'm doing this to myself. The secret of salvation, which is today's lesson, 319, is I'm doing this to myself. Until you get there, everything else is really, I'll use the word bupkis.
Let's throw in a little Yiddish there. Thanks, Deb. But that is one of the hardest things for people to accept,
Yeah, that's
that
right.
we're not a victim of the world we see. That's very hard for people. And so sometimes when we think we're being helpful and we say to them, you're not a victim of the world you see, you made this up and you did this to yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's not the most helpful thing.
I just want to put the third of the three things I teach. They're all in chapter 21. Chapter 21, introduction, projection makes perception. Whatever you think is out there comes from you. So you see somebody doing something that's wrong or guilty, it's my own guilt I'm talking about. Second step of the three steps. Everything that happens, I have asked for and received exactly as I have asked. That's step 2. Step 3, you find in chapter 21, same chapter, section 7, which is called the last unanswered question. The last unanswered question starts out with a joke. I always say Jesus is laughing when he says that to us. He starts out by saying, do you not see that all of your misery comes from your strange belief lie that you, the powerful Son of God, is helpless, powerless? Really? So he's laughing. Let's get down into the text of that section. And it says, listen, the last unanswered question is not, do I want the peace of God? He says, that's BS. You know, today you can say, I want the peace of God. Tomorrow you want to be right about something. You don't really care about the peace of God. That is why lesson 185, which is called I want the peace of God, says to say this is nothing, but to mean it is everything. Do you really want the peace of God? Then go to the last unanswered question. The last unanswered question simply is, are you willing to see what you denied because you denied the truth? That's the last unanswered question. I have denied the truth, which is I am the love of God. I am the whole, complete, perfect, innocent. I have denied it. Now he says, are you willing to deny the denial? You are responsible for removing the denial. As long as you see something outside of you as responsible, you can't remove the denial. So it's a double negative. It takes, denial is a negative. It takes your willingness to negate the denial and say, yeah, I denied the truth. I denied it. Nobody denied the truth. I made a world of people out there that are deniers. In fact, there was a big word back in 2020, people who denied who won. Oh, those are liars. Those are deniers. No. The denier is over here. That's the last unanswered question. Are you willing to deny the denial? There's nothing going on out there. It's all going on over here. You got to laugh. That's why I say you got to laugh. I know. I know people hate when I say you got to laugh. Are you laughing at me? No, I'm laughing at my own thoughts. I'm always laughing at myself. Always. Period.
Thank you, Deb. So in chapter 12, what section is it? The
The
way to
Holy
remember God
Judgment of the
section.
Holy Spirit.
Yeah. It says, the perfection, for perfection is and cannot be denied. To deny the denial of perfection is not so difficult as to deny the truth. And what we can accomplish together will be believed when you see it as accomplished. We can't, yeah, when we're denying deny the denial, we're seeing the truth. And that's all we can see. And Brooklyn says, vigilance for God and his kingdom. Oh my gosh, the biggest bird on earth just flew right by my window. It was enormous. It was
That's
like,
a sign.
that's a sign. That's a sign from God. Oh my gosh. It must have been.
I have one line from chapter 12, which you just pointed out, paragraph 1, the judgment of the Holy Spirit. I think this is helpful. But truth is real in its own right. And to believe in truth, and this is all in italics, you do not have to do anything. To believe in truth, you do not have to do anything. Only the ego is the doer. Well, I got to read more. I got to do this. No. To believe in truth is to accept. Acceptance is so big because what you don't accept, you resist. Resistance is the cause of all pain. Resistance is the cause of all pain and suffering in this world. What you resist persists. I think that's where Matt Kahn probably got the thing. If you try and not be triggered in this world, try and stay away from being triggered, I'm going to hang out with people that like me. Ken Wapnick says the exact opposite. If you really want to do this course at a fast pace, don't hang out with people that make you feel wonderful. Hang out where you're feeling a little uncomfortable. That's where your lessons are. That's the first quote I ever heard from Ken Wapnick way back in 1981 when I attended one of his live sessions in New York City. Don't hang out with people that's, oh, you poor thing, you. Oh, I agree with you. They should never have done that to you. No, that's not where your lessons are. That's the ego saying, I want agreement with my position. Hang out where it's not comfortable and be grateful for your triggers because they reveal your mistaken beliefs. This whole world is a mistaken belief. Lie. You want the truth? I need do nothing for the truth. It already is. It's an isness. Did you ever hear Mandy Soap? Isness is your only business. Now, why do I like that? Because it's not that Mandy Soap said it. It's because the course has 1-2 word sentence that Ken Wapnick says, if Jesus only spoke the truth to Helen instead of concepts, he would only have 2 words. God is. Isness is the same thing. You don't have to put the word God in. God is a noun. God is like, my idea of God, well, he's a guy up there. My idea of God, oh, he's everything. No. Isness, which is constant isness, it's a verb. Isness is a verb. It doesn't stop here. It's always the same. Isness is your only business. I'm done.
Thank you, Dove. Good points. And, like I'm trying to tie this back then to what is being truly helpful is just to be and not to do. It's the same thing as what is our job with the course? What is our job with anything? It's to be. We need do nothing. It's just to be. So So that's all I have on that first line. If anybody else has anything that they want to say about the first line, we can move on to the second one. Woohoo! I am here, again, here. Let's be here. Let's be present with each other. Let's listen. You know, sometimes if I'm listening to a really long Keith Kavanaugh talk, every once in a while I'll start playing solitaire on my phone while I'm listening, just to keep my hands busy with something. I'm not being here. Hi, Karen. Yay. Does this mean you're home?
Hi, I'm almost home. We're in the car. I was listening a little bit on the radio and just want to say I love the conversation. And Miki, you're doing such a great job. What a great
Oh,
Karen. What a great
thank you.
What a great gathering at Gather. I'm just listening. I just wanted to check in and say hi, y'all.
Hi.
Hi.
So glad you're going home.
Hi, my Karen.
Yay.
Karen.
And we love us.
Oh, we love us a lot.
Oh, there's Karen. You look great, sweetie. All right. I am here. And I'm so glad Karen's here. This is awesome. I am here to represent him who sent me. And in some versions of the course, it says, I am here to represent the Christ who sent me. So that led me to delve into what is the Christ. And I have this book. I'm such a nerd, you guys. So I saw this book on eBay or something, and it said the glossary / index for A Course in Miracles by Kenneth Wapnick. And I'm like, oh, goody, a glossary and an index. I like that. And he just put together words and Bible quotes. And I'm like, why in the world did I buy this book? It's a cross-reference for everything in the course, but it did have a really cool thing that is not talked about in the course that much. But he has a section, I don't know if you can see it, called the Christ. And then he has all these references. And so I'm going to read what it says about the Christ. The second person of the Trinity, which refers back to his Christian background after his Jewish background, which I think is really hysterical.
Who?
Ken.
Oh, Ken, I see. Okay.
Yeah. No, not Jesus.
Okay.
Although also Jewish.
By the way, I listened to a lot of Ken. He never really gave up his Jewishness. I want you to know that.
No, not really.
He loves the fact that he was born in Brooklyn. Right? I mean, he's so Brooklyn. You can't take the Brooklyn out of him. Period.
No, you can't.
By the way,
yes,
my wife Suzanne was also born in Brooklyn.
Okay.
There's a lot of famous people born in Brooklyn.
Yes, Al Pacino. Who somebody the other day said they were listening to Ken talk, and somebody walked in the room and said, "Why is Al Pacino talking?"
Pacino.
Because they thought that Al Pacino and Ken sounded exactly like each other. The accent is the same, but their voices are very different. Karen, go ahead.
Yeah, that's Leon Joel Russell's wife. He had Ken on, and she walked in and she said, why is Al Pacino teaching the course? Because I think sometimes he does sound like Al Pacino, to be honest with you. But I'm a big Al Pacino fan. But I just want to say Dove is Jewish, but he has a lot of Italian in him because he's always speaking with his hands. I just had to add that.
Absolutely. That is hysterical.
And as Karen knows, I grew up in Little Italy of my hometown, Yonkers.
Right. And I grew up not not far from Deb and I were born in the same town. I think we were born at the same hospital, but my parents moved away from Yonkers all the way like 10 miles away to White Plains. And I grew up in an Italian neighborhood there. So I'm Jewish, grew up in an Italian neighborhood. We're all the same. We're
I,
all the same person.
I, I also want to say, before I learned too much English, the first word I really learned was bafangu.
Oh, geez. Oh my gosh, you're so bad. All right, let's get back to the Christ.
Okay.
Christ, the second person of the Trinity, that, and this is the line that really caught me, the one Son of God, or totality of the sonship. And we have to remember, like when we say things like, I am here to represent him who sent me, we're not talking about Jesus, the man who walked on the earth. Jesus told me, I am here to represent Jesus. No, we're not here. We're representing the Christ who is all of us. So we're representing the totality of the Christ mind. And I think we have to remember that, because some of us rely a lot on the image, or what is represented by the human being Jesus who walked on the earth. But we're here to represent the Christ mind, which is God. We're here to represent the mind of God that is in every one of us. We're here to represent the Christ that is all of us. Go ahead, Karen.
Yes, and as Lynn mentions once in a while, and I love to go back to the original text. In the original text, in the truly helpful prayer, it says that I am here to represent the Christ, and he is the Christ who sent me. So you're absolutely right. And the other thing, though, with that, like I do know what you're saying, and I still, for me personally, we just meet people where they are. Some people still look at the figure and that's what works for them, but it's all mind. And that's what the Course in Miracles, I think, is difficult for some people to recognize, that has nothing ever to do with behavior or the body. It's all mind. And it's not always easy for everyone to really, uh, I don't know the word I want to use, but I think you all know what I mean. But yeah, thank you. That's all I wanted to share.
Okay. Yeah, yes. And you're right, Karen. You're very right that there are some people who really um, want to look at Jesus as their own personal friend. I have a friend in Jesus. I grew up Jewish, but Italian neighborhood, I heard all these songs, Italian and Irish. And right down the street from Our Lady of Good Counsel, the school that I desperately wanted to go to because all my friends went to. Jesus represents a friend, a brother, a person who we can relate to and who we think of as an elder brother and a teacher, and who can guide us on this. And I'm all for that. If that, it took me a really long time even to be able to say I'm reading a book that is are the words of Jesus. To even say that word Jesus in relation to something that I was studying, it took me a really long time to be okay with that. And it was a big struggle for me the first 3 or 4 years that I read the course.
Yeah.
And both Deb and Karen and Brooklyn all have their hands up. Who goes first?
Sharon.
I just want to say the Course does say that Jesus is our elder brother and he is our role model. And anybody can look at that any way they want. I just know from learning about the course and practicing the course that brother is aspect of mind. Everything is aspect of mind in the course, but that doesn't mean that we have to take that literally. That means to meet yourself where you are with that, because everybody's on a different level. So it's all perfect. But he does say he is our elder brother, because he only listened to one voice. So he already awakened, and we all have that potential, but we still like to listen to the ego. So that's the only difference. Thanks.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, he is our older brother, and he is the one who is teaching us. And he does say in the course a lot, I did this and I did that, and I can show you the way. So, whether or not you think you're listening to Jesus or the Christ mind, whatever will get you where you want to be, whatever will get you to let go of ego's hand and grab the hand of the Holy Spirit is what's going to help. Go ahead, Brooklyn.
Wow, you're doing a great job, Miki.
Go.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. Well, when I'm Jewish and I was brought up in Bensonhurst when it was Italian too. So it's interesting how we have, and I talk with my hand. But I remember when I was 15, when I was 15, my best friend lived in Bay Ridge, and she had a wall of silver foil, and we took mescaline, and I had amazing experiences. But when I woke up, I saw on her, I was seeing a lot of stuff on her wall, and everything was good except for a one-eyed monster. And I thought, well, this is part of the trip. And in the morning, um, she never told me she was raped by a guy with one eye, and that's how she thought of him. But and another thing, when I woke up, I saw on her wall Christ being held by the Virgin Mary, and I'm saying, but I'm Jewish. Why am I seeing this? And now I know. Now I know, and very grateful for that.
Awesome. That was a scary bit of a trip there.
No, actually, it was wonderful.
Okay.
It was no, I remember it like it was yesterday. Like my friend was in the army, and he gave us 2 tabs of mescaline, and I haven't taken it since. And we cut it in half, and we're looking at each other, and we decided to bake cookies, and let's take the other half. uh, and that, yeah, it was, no, it was a blessed, very blessed. I like the wind. I wrote a poem about it, and every time the breeze came in, the cold breeze, it would come in colors, and it would come in through my pores. And now in this day, I feel like the colors are coming out of me. So, well, all time is at once, goes on at once. And the course is, my main baby. But like I said, I love to see the course and everything else. Like I love to see the Christ and everything else, because yeah, there are different levels of the course. And they call that course confusion, when you talk about one thing on one level and someone's talking about another level.
You mean level confusion?
That's it. That's it. Thank you, Miki. Yeah, and we got to be aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Brooklyn. Dev, did you have some?
Yeah, I wanted to say, Suzanne was born and brought up in Bay Ridge. Now, if you know Brooklyn, that's the Italian community basically. And like her first date was a guy. She said, "What does your father do?" He says, my My father's in the olive oil business. He was the son of the head of the mafia. And she brought him home and all that. It was great. Yeah, I think Brooklyn is just a great place to be born. Now, I was going to talk about Jesus and Christ. I have nothing going on with Jesus. As a matter of fact, many years ago, I had a poster in my thing because I heard of Jews for Jesus. So I started reading. What do you mean Jews for Jesus? Okay, I started reading, and why not? So I had a poster. I put it up in my home. I was married at the time, and this guy who was a friend of mine, who was very religious, he came in. He says, "You're for Jesus?" I don't think he ever forgave me. The problem that I had with the course wasn't Jesus; it was Christ. I, you know, I I couldn't get around Christ until I went to a seminar given by a Jewish rabbi, by the way, uh, uh, Paul Steinberg. His brother or cousin was the publisher of the first Course in Miracles for the FIP. So that's how he got into it. So he understood the course really well, and he gave a seminar, and I attended. And in the morning, the only thing he did, he said, "I'm going to give you 50 words that the course has that is not the same as you understand them." And one of the 50 was Christ. And I don't remember any of the other 49. I remember that. He said, Christ is simply our family name. Like there's Brooklyn Christ, there's Miki Christ, there's Patty Christ, there's Karen Christ, there's Dove Christ, there's Jesus Christ. It's just our family name. I said, "Oh, why was I so against my family name?"
Fascinating. I would love to see the other 49 words. Do you still have notes on that?
One of them I do remember: gratitude.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because they came up for me in the afternoon session. They broke up in smaller groups, and the whole group was about 40 people. The smaller groups are like 6 or 7 sitting at a table with some wiser person sitting there. And I said, I agree with all the things, but why should I be grateful? Now I understand. In fact, my card says, "Be grateful."
Yeah. I've always and I could be told this could be a totally incorrect memory, but I understood that Christ comes from the Greek word Christos, which is all knowing or knowing of God or knowledge of God or something to that effect, that we are all known in God, and that Jesus, and I could be wrong, but that Jesus was originally called Jesus the Christ, as in Jesus the one who was who knew God, that had knowledge of God, that had the pure knowledge of God, which we all do. We are all one in God's mind, and we all have that knowing of God in us. We all have the spark of God in us. But Jesus was the one who knew he had the spark of God in him, who knew God in him and knew nothing else. It says somewhere in the course that, we all have this, but I know nothing else. That what is that, Dove? Do you remember where he says, we know the same thing, but I know nothing else, or I believe nothing else, or
Right.
it,
You basically said it perfectly.
right, that I'm not interested in anything else except God, and that's why he was known as the Christ. But that's no different from any of us. Anyway, I'll go back to
Yeah,
Ken's stuff.
he says, I have nothing else.
Right,
You have this and all these other things. I have nothing else.
right, exactly. Thanks, Lynn. And so this thing from the glossary, I'll finish reading because we started talking and I never finished it. the one Son of God, or totality of the sonship, the self that God created by extension of his Spirit. Through Christ, though Christ creates as does his Father, he is not the Father, since God created Christ, but Christ did not create God. And it says in a note, Christ is not to be equated exclusively with Jesus, which is what we were just talking about. We are all the Christ. It's our last name, like Dev was saying, which is true. And I've got a bunch of, God, we don't have all that much time, but I have I've got a couple of quotes here from page 144 in the text, which is chapter 8, section 4, paragraph 3. And let me get to it here.
I want to interject one thing.
Go ahead.
You're mentioning that only is mentioned 1,733 times is really fabulous. Really fabulous.
I'm telling you, I love this technology stuff where you can actually look something up like that. And I'm such a nerd that before I go to bed, I usually spend a while on my phone. I know they say you shouldn't do that. That's one of the worst things for insomnia.
I do the same.
But I will sit there with the FIP app, and I'll think of a phrase or I'll think of a word and I'll look it up to see how many times it's mentioned. And then you can go down a total rabbit hole with it because you can click. I mean, Lynn told me a couple of days ago that Bruce Rawls is the one who designed that app. He deserves an award for that app because then you can click on every instance of that word and then go to it. And it's a beautiful thing. Brooklyn, go ahead. Oh, still muted.
Still muted.
Sorry.
There you go.
Oh, there are two things that I remember that I can't find where it is because I paraphrase everything. I don't remember words. But the first one is, forgive me for all that was done in my name. And the second one is, Jesus only saves the love for us. And I can't find that because I can't remember the exact words.
Oh,
I
we'll
love
have
it.
to get together on Zoom together, you and I, and we can go on the app and we'll figure it out.
I think in your own words, that's all you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need the exact word. You need the idea behind the words.
Sometimes it's fun though to be able to go to it and read it again to cement it. And Lynn says Bruce worked on it, but Felix Akala designed it. They both deserve awards because you don't even have to know the exact phrase. If you know a couple of words in the phrase, you can come up with it. But I was gonna do this quote, and maybe we'll have this be the last thing because we only have 5 more minutes. From The Gift of Freedom on page 144, it talks about, and this is Jesus talking, my mission was simply to unite the will of the sonship with the will of the Father by being aware of the Father's will myself. This awareness I came to give you, and your problem in accepting it is the problem of this world. Dispelling it is salvation. And in this sense, I am the salvation of the world. The world must therefore despise and reject me because the world is the belief that love is impossible. If you will accept the fact that I am with you, you are denying the world and accepting God. My will is his, and your decision to hear me is the decision to hear his voice and abide in his will. As God sent me to you, so will I send you to others, and I will go to them with you so that we can teach them peace and union. And I am going to end with a discussion maybe about what I just read, but that to me is, dispelling the world is salvation. And in this sense, I am the salvation of the world. If we want to look at Jesus as our older brother, this is the paragraph to read, because he will take us by the hand, and his only desire in this whole book is to get us back to God. He wants to lead us there. And if we can just accept that this book has the only intention of this book is our salvation. The only intention of this book is union, peace and union. Nowhere in this book does it says you got to get enlightened and show everybody else how to get enlightened. The purpose of this book is peace and union, and to know that we're not separate. That's the only reason that we're studying all of this, is to know that there is no separation, that we're all one. And I love how Karen quotes this line a lot, and it's in the manual for teachers, and I can't remember it exactly, but I can find it, I think. Although it's eluding me right now, but it's about seeing no interests as different in anybody else, and that we don't see anyone else's interests as different from our own. Where'd it go? No, it's gone. But that is the basis of the course, and this is pretty much the end of my time. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I could not have done this alone, like some people can. Go ahead, Deb, you were saying something?
I want to just add this to everything you said, because you were so complete. But Jesus is really trying to keep us on a very straight and narrow path. That's why he said only so many times, because he wants you to come back to the path. That's all. It'll save you time. That's how he saves you time, because the ego is always trying to take you off the path. So there are things called guardrails. He doesn't call them guardrails. We do, but they are boundaries that he's telling you, don't step outside the boundary. You're just going to waste time. And he says, delay in time, that can be disastrous. He tells you that. Delay in eternity is nothing. Delay in time, I forgot the word, but delay in time is terrible. He tells you that because there's so much pain in delay in time. So I'm going to read you from chapter 20, section 4, paragraph 8. It's called Entering the Ark 2 by 2. Basically, it's called Entering the Ark. This is what it says. You may wonder how you can be at peace when, while you're living in time, there's so much that must be done. There's so much to learn. But the way to peace is open. Perhaps this doesn't seem possible to you right now, but ask yourself if it's possible that God would have a plan for your salvation that does not work. Now, once you accept his plan, that's the key. Once you accept his plan as the one function that you would fulfill, there will be nothing else the Holy Spirit will not arrange for you without your efforts. And now you can look in the chat because the rest is in the chat. He will go before you, making straight your path, leaving in your way no stones to trip on. That's how we get triggered, stones to trip on. No obstacles to bar your way. That's more upsets and upsets and stuff to be grateful for those triggers. Nothing that you need will be denied you. In other words, everything you need is given to you. Not everything you want, but everything you need. That's my, my song. You don't always get what you want, but you always get what you need. The Rolling Stones. You need take thought for nothing. What? I don't even have to think about this stuff. You need take thought for nothing, careless of everything. You mean I can just let go? And really? I don't have to hold on? Careless of everything except the only purpose. Purpose has meaning, except the only purpose that you would fulfill. As that was given to you, will its fulfillment be? As that was given you, will its fulfillment be? God's guarantee. What? God gives guarantees? How is that possible? Will hold against all obstacles. You have obstacles to bar your way. For it rests on certainty and not contingency. Well, maybe this and maybe that, or hope this or hope. It rests on you. I could just hear the ego saying, wow, I get a guarantee from God that I can come back home with God? Really? And then God says, sorry, Charlie, you are not the Christ. Sorry, Charlie. And then goes on to say, and what can be more certain than the Son of God? What can be more certain than the Christ? That's my sharing for today. Chapter 20, section 4, paragraph 8.
Thank you, Doug. I'm writing down this reference because I want to go back to this, the Son of God. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Lynn, are you here?
I am here, and I just got a call from Wayne. He says he's going to be about 10 minutes late. So this is great. I have a couple things to say too.
Yay.
So it gives us a little bit extra time. So we talked about the word only. And only people will say, well, I don't believe that a miracle is only a change in perception. But of course, Jesus says that in the Course. People will say, it's only the wind, or it's only this, or it's only that, thinking that only means it's not very much of anything.
Mhm.
But the definition of only is without exception, alone or of its kind, singular, solitary, except that, but for the fact that, or let's see, no one or nothing more, solely or exclusively. So we were talking about the word only, and I've heard, people kind of disparage things because it's only this and it's only that. That's the only thing it is. There's nothing else. So just looking in the miracle principles, so many of them say the only thing that matters is their source. Only the creations of light are real. The miracle is the only device at your immediate disposal for controlling time. Only revelation transcends it. Revelation induces only experience. You're right. There's 754 places where it says only in the Course, and every one of those places, it is saying without exception. And what a different point of that of view that is. So
1,754.
yeah,
Yeah.
1,750.
And isn't that
Yeah.
funny, Lynn? It's one of those words where it can mean two totally opposite things like that. There are a few words, and I was talking about one recently where it can mean only, this is the only thing, solely, the most purposeful. And it's only that. It's only this little thing. So thanks for bringing that up, because
Yeah,
that,
it's only COVID. It's only, it's only, I mean, we throw that word out like we know what it means, but now that I know what it means, it's going to be a different thing to, I mean, yes, it is the wind. It's not only the wind, it's the wind. You hear a noise outside, it's you don't have to throw in only like you're disparaging it. It really has a meaning. So
well, and I was just in the back of my mind, I was trying to come up with another word, and I'm like, oh, we could say it's just the wind. But just, how many different meanings does the word just have? Because just is the just
absolutely.
and the righteous. It's just the wind. Oh, that's, justice. So symbols, symbols of
Yeah.
symbols.
Yeah.
And the language is so cool because it is so tricky with the symbols. I mean, the ego has made something fabulous with this language, has given all the ins and outs of what everything is and shouldn't be and should be and all those things. But then the Holy Spirit can use those very things to rearrange our consciousness. And that's what is actually happening, I believe, with the Course in Miracles. It is rearranging my consciousness where I was once living in a place of lack and fear and sense of unworthiness and all those different things that the ego would make you think you deserve. My consciousness has become rearranged now to where I realize and know that I am worthy as a son of God, that I lack nothing, that I have everything, that it's completely shifted me in my entire experience of myself and my experience of this world. And I was going to say this, and it's kind of crazy, but ever since I was sick, I was not well, and I was going through a lot of different things and taking drugs to heal me, etc. And those drugs had effects on me as well that shifted and did some weird things to my thinking and my consciousness. And just like that mescaline that Brooklyn was talking about, it takes you out of your normal mind and puts you in a different place. So going through all that and then being so sick and then getting well, I was getting better, getting better, getting better. And then there was an upset in my life. Something happened that upset me. And when that happened that upset me, I started on a setback that was crazy. As of this morning, when I woke up for the last week, I have not been able to breathe. I've been using my nebulizer 3 or 4 times a day. Last night I used a medication that I hadn't used for years because, I had it, maybe this will help. I've done everything I can. Today I was going to go to the doctor because I just could not breathe. And after that session this morning, when Suzanne was in here and we had that discussion, a shift completely. That pain is gone. That breathing is restored. The pain that was making, I couldn't even stand up straight. My, my lower back and hips were hurting so bad that I could not stand up straight. And I was walking around bent over like you can't see me. I mean, I mean, literally, where's my camera? Oop, off and on, off and on. Okay. Literally, I was walking around with my back bent like this. I could not stand up. My head was here. I was looking at the ground as I walked. I could not stand up straight. After that session this morning, when I recognized that nothing that I could have ever have done could have made me unworthy in God's eyes, nothing I could ever have done could have changed me, made me be the bad guy when I was, so self-assured of myself as the good guy. I really had to look at, what I was thinking about myself and about others. And when that happened today, I just got this tremendous release. And now I am breathing like perfectly. I went downstairs, I came upstairs, I'm not huffing and puffing. I stand up straight and walk straight, completely shifted. So what an amazing thing. Dove, please go ahead. You are muted.
All right. Sharon got bounced from Zoom. She's calling me. She wants to tell everybody something. Go ahead, Sharon.
I couldn't tell anybody because I'm having trouble breathing. That's the weirdest thing. I can't catch my breath. And I couldn't tell you, Miki, this was the best session. You have no idea. Everything you say is what I felt in my life. And the love that came through. And Brooklyn, like Ram Dass is like incredible. This is a group that I prayed for. And when Lynn, you're sharing how you released, I was too. But then there's these physical symptoms, and I don't know what they are. I get a thing called complicated migraine, and it goes, and then it mimics a stroke is what it does, So I'm a little nervous. So my son's going to bring this something over for me because he has issues like that. I don't really, it has to be unconscious. It has to be my fear of God, and I know that. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's just what you have, Lynn. But I'm having a trouble. But Karen has shared, every one of you. I mean, you're just the most amazing heroes. And Dove, you came through. Just all I want is for everybody to understand that I'm going through a rough time. That's all. Not a big deal. I'll come out of it. I know this is me. But I love you guys. Anyway, Dove, I'm going to go back on Pal Talk because I can't do anything else. Thank you, guys.
Oh, Sharon, I'm so glad you came on because I was worried when you dropped out of the screen. I thought maybe you were upset about something. So I'm so glad you came on.
Everything you were saying, I was like, Miki, well, you don't want to share? Please share. 9:30 on Tuesdays. I'll come every Tuesday. Please. Miki, you have no idea. Everything you're saying, Karen was talking about everything I always wondered about. And I'm like, what the heck? We're in one mind, but we're all the same. Of course we're together. There's no hierarchy. And Lynn, I'm so sorry that you've gone through this. That's all. I love you guys so much. I'm going on to Pal Talk now. And please record this because this is the most amazing thing. I'm going to listen to it. And thanks, Doug. Thank you so much.
It's actually on YouTube. Okay. All right. Love you. Talk to you. Right. Okay.
All right.
I see
you guys.
I see Rev Wayne in the room. I just want to add one thing on mescaline. We all took mescaline, and I used to take a lot of mescaline, but I had my spiritual awakening on mescaline. There was one difference. Whenever I took mescaline before, it was like, in the afternoon, maybe the evening. This time I hadn't slept for 24 hours. I was up all night. I was so tired. I just wanted to crash. So I called up this lady I know, and I said, can I come over and crash? And she said, oh, sure. And just as I was about to close my eyes, I says, I'm going to take one of these. Do you want to take one of these with me too? And I had taken it many times before. I said, well, of course I'll take one of those with you. I'm not going to let you do it alone. And this is the first time my defenses were way down, because when you're not sleeping 24 hours, you are defenseless. And in my defenselessness, my safety life, and I started crying and crying. I call it orgasmic crying. Cried for about 2 hours, and at the end of the 2 hours, there was a vision of me standing in a garden, a much younger version. I had a T-shirt pretty much like this. It says Pal Talk on it, but it said love the truth. It was really right from spirit, saying just love. That became my purpose. And it's always been my purpose to love the truth. That's how I got here. I mean, how else would Course of Miracles fall into my lap? Love the truth. You got to love it. Thank you all. Rev Wayne, over to you.
Thanks, you guys. Thank you, Miki. Let's get back on so we're all on the screen here so we can see each other. But yeah, thank you so much, Miki. This was great. And now, you know what? There's now an expectation for Ms. Miki to take some time. I'll be looking forward to hearing from you.
I want to see you here every week.
So